What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? Happy Monday. I never call out what season or period of time we're in ever. So happy Black History Month. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. And at some point this week, happy Valentine's Day. All the things. So welcome back to the show. Definitely hit us up. Monday, Tuesday are topics. Wednesdays are discussion. Continue to tune in, leave us your feedback. We greatly appreciate that. And without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. This first article is from Forbes.com, actually, and it's titled, Reddit confirms it was hacked, recommends user set up 2FA, written by Davey, not David, Davey Winder or Winder. Well, who knows? But so the gist of this, right, is Reddit got hacked, right? So I know Reddit being a popular social media news and discussion area site, right? This is kind of a big deal, right? So according to the story, they have 50 million daily users, and they did confirmation they got hacked. So it was February 9th security incident posting on the site itself, right? They posted it on Reddit that they got hacked. And what they say is there was a breach on their systems from February 5th, right? And it was a phishing attack, actually. It was one of the employees got targeted. And what ended up happening now, the good thing about this is the employee actually self-reported, right? So they got a little bit late in the game. They got caught up, right? But they self-reported and said, hey, I think this is an issue. So we need to take care of this, right? But what ended up happening was the attacker sent out some prompts to employees, right? And what they did is they made them go to a website that looked like Reddit's intranet, right? So it looked like an internal site that Reddit had access to, which means this could be an inside job, right? It's one of those things where how does somebody know what their intranet looks like unless they were there at some point, maybe, right? Could be a disgruntled employee. We don't know. They don't go into that, but that could be what it was. But what Reddit says is that in an attempt to steal credentials and second factor token, or excuse me, let me start this again. So in most phishing campaigns, the attacker sent out plausible sounding prompts pointing employees to a website to clone the behavior our internet gateway in an attempt to steal credentials and second factor tokens. So again, it appears that one of the employees was like, yeah, that's our intranet. I'll go to that. But after going in there, they were like, whoa, that's not what I think it is, right? So self-reported it. But here's the thing. So what Reddit is recommending is that people set up two-factor authentication to protect their accounts, right? So two-factor authentications, when it comes to doing passwords, do a password manager, right? Because they always set you up with a password that's harder to crack, right? Harder to defeat. Granted, it's harder for you to remember as well, but that's why you have the manager, right? But still, they want you to change your passwords regularly, right? And I don't have a Reddit account, so I don't know if they force you to change it every so often or anything like that, if you just keep the same password and it is what it is. But Reddit still recommends you change your password regularly, right? So they actually did have an update on this story. Something that they did bring up was Javad Malik, who's the lead security awareness advocate at Known Before. He said, we see in this incident that despite apparently having multi-factor authentication, a user was still phished, serving as a timely reminder that no single layer of protection will be completely foolproof. And that's accurate, right? You don't want to rely on just one thing and think that's going to get you protected like you need to be. But doing multiple things, it makes it harder, right? And especially with something like this. Now, nobody's personal information was out there, right? Passwords didn't get hacked, according to Reddit. But this is one of those things where you want to try to do as many things as possible to protect it based on the level of protection you think you need, right? So if it's like your banking information, yeah, you want several different things, right? So nobody's taking your money, with Reddit, like, I don't know what all goes into that. Like, I don't know if you pay for a Reddit subscription or anything like that. Y'all know I'm not the social media guy, right? There's never any mention of my social medias at the end of any episodes, right? I don't have any. So I don't know how these work, right? But yeah, just make sure you're doing multiple things, right? You want to make it harder. Like, the harder you make it for people to get access to things, the higher chance you have that they just won't put in the effort, right? Especially for something like this, you know what I mean? But Ryan, what's your thoughts on this?
Yes. So excuse me. So I do have a Reddit account. I have the worst luck right now. all the all the websites I barely use are all getting affected. So I have to go in there and change my password as well. But I started my Reddit account back in I want to say I was in Alaska. Yeah, I think Alaska. So maybe like 6 years into my military career. So 14 years ago, and I go there every so infrequently. Because Reddit will, like for me anyway, Reddit will give you details or results better than Google search, right? Like usually I'll go to find something like, how do you do this, or how do I find this, or what is that? Point me back to Reddit, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do have an account. You can go in there and it can usually answer your questions. I used to do it for promotion results for the previous year, right? To find out what those stats were. Like somebody always has a post in there. It's like there's subreddits, right? So it's always a slash Air Force slash promotion. But then what's the last time I used it? I used for the VA benefits. They have a humongous catalog of like every single thing that can be potentially claimed, and then what it means, right? And then what are the percentages? Like there's a humongous subreddit for VA for what am I trying to say, for vets. There's a humongous one. It's called like slash benefits or slash VA benefits, something like that. Very detailed. Like so they it's like I use it like a Wikipedia. So that's kind of how
Be
it
careful with
works.
that though. If it's like Wikipedia, be careful with that. They could be putting anything on there, you know.
Right. But so far, like usually they police it pretty well. So that, and oh man, I used to use it for something else. I think it was for when I was studying for Japanese. Like they have a humongous subreddit for foreign languages as well. Like so it's just a humongous like database. People get their news from there too. I don't. Like it's just not something I go to first. I go to Twitter before I go to Reddit. But yeah, so
You know, there are actual news outlets out there that will give that to you.
they're
You don't
slower.
rely,
I'm
you don't have to
telling you,
rely.
like the AP news is slower than Twitter. Twitter will get to you like that. Like the unfortunately with the whole earthquake situation in Turkey, I found out about it through Twitter before I found out about it through news outlets. It just popped up on my timeline. But probably because I had been in Turkey, right? But it also because it was such a big earthquake. So, but yeah, so that's what I use it for. And apparently 50 million people use it a day. I did not know that. That's crazy. So yeah, so good on Reddit for self-reporting so quickly, so that people can update their stuff and being so timely in doing so. But also shout out to that employee. Like, yeah, you should not have fallen for it, but you did fall for it, and then you felt comfortable enough to self-identify. So either that's really good on Reddit's culture, or just really good on this person for being honest so quickly. So that way more damage was not done. So hopefully all employees feel comfortable enough, like, hey, they got me. I put my whatever in here. But what you said about it being potentially insider, that I would gravitate towards that, because who would know what their internet looks like to be able to mirror it to enough to fool people than somebody who was already in the insider, somebody who was able to get that deep into the system, right? So perhaps a hacker or uh, yeah, I guess it would be considered a hacker, or just a really good pen tester is able to get in deep enough to be able to see their internet web page, and then be able to mirror it to I guess to a T for people to actually fall for it, right? Because if you saw, like, whenever there's an update to anything internal to your network, you usually look at it and you're like, that's weird. Like, when did this get updated, right? So it had to be close enough to stop the suspicion, far enough for him or her to put in their credentials, and what have you. So, but I digress. Good on them for telling everybody as quickly as possible, especially with that many concurrent users daily. So if there's 50 million people on there per day, there has to be almost twice as many who have uh, lapsed accounts, right? Like people who just sign up for Reddit and then stop using it. So those are the people that they're going to potentially steal their credentials, because those are the people who are not keeping up and updating their passwords and what have you. So, but yeah, it was interesting. It just popped up, and I shared it with you and Levon. I was like, oh, that's crazy, like, because it was happening kind of like in real time, because Reddit was reporting so quickly on the situation. So I was like, okay, good on them. But yet again, another website, man. I'm getting sick of it.
You are the common denominator here, man. So
Is it me?
let me just point this out. Let me just point this out. I switch over to Apple. all of a sudden they're having all types of
They're
security,
having issues.
right? Then all of it,
Right.
yeah, I thought it was me.
LastPass,
Yeah, I thought it was
the
me.
Ubisoft breach.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's like I think I just had too many accounts. That's the problem. I need to go through and start deactivating some of these things. I rarely ever use, because you can use Reddit without an account. You can just search through it and what have you. I think I just created one for profiles, right? So they'll have my subreddit, so I can just click on those and just jump straight to them. But you can just find them.
I think it depends though, right? So like, well, it depends on the access you get when you do it, right? So like I've read some articles and whatnot, and sometimes they'll reference a Reddit, and like if you click on it, there's only so much you could do like through it, right? And then I guess you have to
Okay,
account to access some of the other stuff. Or like if I had an
gotcha.
account, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess who's not getting one now? It's Shannon. Shannon don't play around. Like, I'll never have a Reddit account now.
It was never on my radar. So like, yeah, this just
Right.
confirms it. Confirmed.
Right, confirmed. But no, that was an interesting article and great explanation on your part. So I appreciate that. But I think that pretty much wraps up this episode. So definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. Hit us up at all of our websites. I don't know if you hear my dog down here making noise. She just walked in. Hit me up personally. I'm at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. You can find me on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, and Twitter. Stay safe, stay secure.